time to cut the bumper. As this is a later one, it's a different shape. I figure I'm going to cut it along there and along there, and then see how the curve looks afterwards. I'll get that cut now. As you can see, it's now mounted up. I have cut it very crudely, I must say, just to get it fitted. Needs some further work to make it look pretty. But this is a section that I've cut off of the bumper. Obviously on the later ones, it sort of fits tighter. Let me show you. It fits tighter around the valance. The front grille area, should I say, is a lot different shape to these early sort of cheese grater grills. So I couldn't afford to buy a bumper for this car. They are horrendously expensive. So I've got this later one, which is off a van or a pickup, so it's not got a chrome blade. But basically I've cut this to make it fit. So we've got that bit out the way. It's quite crude at the moment, but it's on there, and I'm going to start to get this to look a bit prettier. I've taken some measurements, so I've marked dead in the centre there. I've scribed it, as you can see, and it's 4.5 centimetres from the edge of the what do you call this, the blade, back to the very end of the valance. Sorry, 4.25 centimetres here, 4.5 centimetres at this point. Can't really see that, can you? There we go, 4.5 centimetres level with this bar on the grill, and the same level with this bar on the grill. So yeah, I know where the end of it's going to be when I cut it off, and we've just got to make it look a bit nicer around here. So I want to continue this line along. I had wondered whether I could do it in sheet steel, but it gets a little bit tricky where it sort of curves around the corner, so replicating that might be a bit difficult. I have got some round rod, so I'm thinking I might make it up with round rod similar to this. I've got quite a few pieces of round rod. This is just an old scrap piece, but I'm thinking I might sort of do something along those lines. But yeah, I'm gonna have a little play around and see what works, and we'll come back and have another look at it in a moment. Right, so the latest is I've just been and picked up some washers, because as you know, I've measured the distance here and here and here, which are all even, all fairly even. But then when we got back to the edge of the grill, I was measuring the distance from the edge of the grill to the end of the bumper valance on both sides, and I found that this side was a lot different to the other. When I looked, the bumper iron on this side was a lot closer to the front panel. Now I've fitted the proper little caps that should go on the end of the bumper irons now, but what I've had to do is pick up some washers. I went and got some M12 washers from old Charlie up the road, little hardware store that keeps everything, and I mean everything. He's really handy. So I've been up there and picked up some M12 washers, and I've packed 3 washers behind this end cap to bring it out, and I now have the correct measurements both sides. So the bumper is straight, well, the bumper is level with the grille. I did notice that there's very little gap here, bearing in mind we're not bolted up yet. There's very little gap here when it's just resting like this, but quite a gap here. Now this will come up, see it closing up the gap. The other side will come down a little bit as well, but I did notice earlier that this end of the bumper was actually twisted because it was facing downhill as well. So I've got it in the vise, and I've bent the bumper iron behind to effectively lift this back up, because this was pointing way down. So now we're level again. So now all I've got to do is work out how I'm going to fabricate these end pieces to make it look pretty, because at the moment it's a bit of a mess. You can see I've got to dress this up as well, because if you look at this edge, it's really wavy where it's been bent over the years. So I'm going to dress that up as well. But I'm just going to have a quick play around with a few things, and I'll come back to you shortly and let you know how we're doing it. So the latest, this is where we're at now. I have made this little thing here, like a little buck, to form some steel over, and there's a couple of pieces of round rod that this piece here is bent to the exact shape to go, once it's in place, around like so, which has then allowed me to cut a piece of steel, form it around there so that I get the correct curve of the bumper. I've got to let this in yet. Obviously I'm going to cut the bumper along here, sit it in there, get it about right, weld it in place and see how we look. So hopefully, it's taken me a whole lot longer than I anticipated, but hopefully that should look nice once that's in there. And then obviously I've got to do the same over there, just the reverse of this one. So all I need to do is just turn my little template over, mark up where it needs to go, and should be good. I'm going to get the bumper off now, mark this up and get it cut and welded into place. Just pulled the bumper right forward just so I could slip this into place, and that's how it's going to sit. And I've just marked this line up here so that that's dead in centre. Oh, if I get the camera right over the top, dead in centre of the bumper iron bolt. There we go, should look good. Let's get it all cut and welded in. So there we go, I've just hung the front bumper back on, but as you can see, this is where we were before. This is obviously a late model bumper off of a commercial vehicle that I've cut to make it fit, and I've made up a new little section here to follow the contour of the grille. I'm quite pleased with that. I think by the time that's had a bit of filler and paint, that'll look great. I've lost the contour a little bit going under the wing, but I don't think you're really going to see that. So yeah, quite pleased with that. Looks much better than that. Thanks a lot guys, see you in the next one. Bye now.